San Diego State gets their third loss of the season. This one goes from St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is looking pretty good right now. I mean, what the record's not really showing, but it's still looking pretty good. They beat San Diego State 68-61. Both teams now have 3 losses. That's something pretty interesting in this one. But I think the biggest thing we got to take from this, Steve, is should we be worried about San Diego State? We both thought this was going to be a sure thing in the Mountain West, and there are still undefeated teams in the Mountain West, 3 of them, to be completely honest with you, and one of them is not the Aztecs. So once we get into this game, want to obviously get your thoughts on the game in general, but I want to know as well, are you concerned about San Diego State?
I'm a little concerned about their inconsistencies, but I don't know that you can. I mean, it is a reality. There are 3 undefeated teams in the Mountain West, but I don't think they're playing the schedule that San Diego State has played. So it's one of those things that it's San Diego State, I think, was building its resume for tournament seeding. And then once they get into the Mountain West, I think it's going to be an easier time for them. What I found really interesting about this game is that, I mean, these teams are probably known more for their defensive prowess than necessarily their offense. I mean, they can score points, in the right situations, but the first half, they both pushed the pace of play a lot more than I expected. They were tied at 35 at the half. But, I mean, St. Mary's was the first, I think, that stepped forward and kind of clamped down from the defensive standpoint. And I think that played a role in the Aztecs shooting just dreadfully, especially beyond the arc. But the San Diego State did not shoot very well from anywhere on the floor, really. And the Gales, I think they had this in one publication. I think they had the 7th best recruiting class in the nation. We're talking about a small Catholic school, in the northern Bay Area part of California. And that's pretty impressive for a school, but that shows that what St. Mary's gets forgotten because Gonzaga is such a behemoth out there, in the WCC. St. Mary's is just, that younger brother that's, St. Mary's is Eli Manning to Peyton Manning of Gonzaga. Eli Manning, won my Giants a bunch of Super Bowls. And he had a great career, but he just wasn't, his brother Peyton, or even his dad Archie, really, for that standpoint.
So what you're telling me is we're about to have a new TV show called St. Mary's Places. That's what you're basically.
That'd be awesome. I think it would be great. I mean, their coach is very engaging. I really like their players. I mean, I'm a Gonzaga guy, so it's hard for me to put too much praise on the conference opponents. But St. Mary's has earned it. But in a roundabout way, I guess what I should have said, like 20 minutes ago before we got off on this tangent, is that one of those, 4-star freshman, Aiden Mahaney, he was the difference maker in this game. He had 20 points. He was perfect from the line. And Mitchell Saxon out-muscled his defenders on most touches. He had 6 rebounds, but it again, another situation where it just seemed that he sort of controlled who got the rebound, even if he wasn't grabbing it himself. And of his 3 offensive rebounds, I want to say that 2 of the 3 were catch and follows, where he followed up and sank a basket. So I really like what St. Mary's showed me here. San Diego State, you need to start shooting the ball better. I mean, that's easy for you and I to say that, Christian, because we're just talking into a microphone. So we're watching the games and saying, oh, they should shoot the ball better than that. I mean, St. Mary's is a good defensive team, but I think what has now emerged for me with San Diego State is that Matt Bradley is going to be the key to their success. They're going to go as far as Matt Bradley can take them. Not that he is a one-man team, and by no means is that the case. I think there are more athletic players on this roster, but I think Matt Bradley is going to be that common thread for any success that San Diego State has.
We are talking about two teams here who have the opportunity to do good in their conference, a conference that normally aren't really deep, if you will. But San Diego State on one side, look at the aspect of it. We thought they were going to completely just run through this conference, and they're struggling. But we know that they can come back when conference play happens. On the other side with St. Mary's, the favorite of that conference, now obviously it's against some top-ranked opponents, but they're kind of struggling. They're not looking as good.
Right.
Let's put it that way. They're not looking as good. Does that open up the door at all for a team like St. Mary's to maybe make a push to maybe sneak and steal a conference from a team like Gonzaga?
Well, if this freshman class keeps stepping up and playing, meaningful minutes and taking control of games the way they have, I think that it does. When we were talking preseason, I had BYU ahead of St. Mary's because I thought it would take St. Mary's, a bit to matriculate these freshmen, into their game schemes. But I'm wrong. And it's not that BYU has played poorly from what I've seen. It's just that St. Mary's is much better than I imagined. And if Gonzaga does not become more consistent, because they've been wildly inconsistent through this, non-conference stretch, I can see St. Mary's winning a regular season title. I don't know that they win the conference title, but it's happened before where St. Mary's has won the WCC and Gonzaga has gotten into the tournament because they're so highly ranked. It's not out of the question. And I think this Gales team, it's going to focus on those freshmen, but they're well coached. The rest of their conference is mediocre once you get beyond BYU and maybe Santa Clara. So yeah, I can see St. Mary's rattling some voters' minds as they sit down tournament time.
Interesting. That's what I love to hear. See, this is the speculation that I love getting into when we talk about, it's still early in the season, but of course you got to speculate moving forward.